They'll rush three. Carpenter moves up into a gap. Now you back out. Second down and 9. Got a lot of time. Throws in zone. Cut! Touchdown, Texas! What a great play for the Horns. Stewart has slot to his left. Using Parker in motion, and Butler takes him. They'll look for Parker on a quick hit. Parker, touchback, 10, 5, end zone, out of bounds. Touchdown, touchdown, got it, touchdown. The Aggies upset Kansas State.
And welcome everyone to Lone Star Yell Fight, where we're talking all things college football, Texas Aggies, Texas Longhorns, from the greatest country in these United States. And welcome everybody back to Lone Star Yell Fight. We're a day early because why not jump into some college football whenever humanly possible. With us, of course, is our favorite Texas Aggie, our favorite fighting Texas Aggie, Andy Tom Chesson. I'm Jim Christopher, your local Longhorn. All right, Andy, we'll jump into the Aggie game first. I think you had this one pegged. I mean, a defensive struggle, and really was a heavyweight boxing match until about the last 10 minutes of the game, when it looked like maybe A&M's D got a little worn down. Overall, what were your assessment of the game?
As dispassionate as I can be about it, because I was mightily irritated Saturday night. I think you're exactly right. The defense spent a lot of time on the football field, and by the fourth quarter, they were done. And Notre Dame took advantage, which is what a good team does. Hats off to them. I mean, Notre Dame didn't do anything spectacular other than stay the course and keep trying the same thing, and eventually it paid off for them. I think their defense is legitimate. I think they have 2, maybe 3 high-round draft picks in their secondary as college sophomores and juniors right now. So they're going to be a very interesting team to watch. And Notre Dame does this periodically. They will have a very good first couple of weeks and then tank the rest of the season, which is why they have the reputation of kind of being overrated for the past, I don't know, it was 1986, 40 years ago.
Since Catholics versus convicts.
I mean, we're talking late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Lou Holtz
was
still
right,
stalking around the field and lisping and drooling and whatever it is Lou Holtz does. Yeah, is he dead?
I don't know. You know what? I'll effort that information while we're talking.
If he's not, I apologize.
I bet you he's still alive. I bet he's still kicking. Yeah,
But
he's 87 years old, man.
Then I do not feel bad at all, a drooling idiot. But anyway, A&M is the same old story, and I think David Nuno on Texag's radio said it best. You've got a new driver, you've got new passengers, but it was the same bus.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, it definitely looked like Aggieland was fired up. It looked like they did their job, their part of it. And again, it felt I was watching the post-game interview with Notre Dame's head coach, who kind of was impressed by a pretty fired up guy, but he talked about how much they prepped for the heat and how hydrated it was. It did seem like towards the end of the game, it was A&M players coming off dehydrated and not Notre Dame players, which I think maybe added to the fatigue factor.
That was a weird kind of turn of events, because you would assume that a team that practices and does all their two-a-days and August practice in College Station would be acclimated to the heat a little bit better than a team from Indiana. Yeah. However, that's not how it turned out. And I don't know if that's a conditioning thing. I don't know if that's just luck of the draw, because cramps hit where cramps hit. But it wasn't impressive. Not demure, not whatever the other word is. I'm old.
Right. Well, and then, the Longhorns had their game against Michigan, and this is where I will do my best to stay level-headed.
They have not played Michigan yet. I don't want to correct you, but
did I say Michigan already? Yeah, we're going to talk Michigan
because you're looking ahead.
I'm looking ahead. Jim. Yeah, but no, they had their game against Colorado State, and I'll be honest, like, it was as good a first game as I've seen in a long time. And I know it's a lackluster opponent, and I get all that, but you and I have been talking football for a long time, and there's always been, I've had to come on the show or have our conversations and explain why I did see good things, even though it was a 35-3 victory against Rice or something. It looked like a really thorough undressing, and Quinn Ewers looks really legitimate for this season, as much as you could tell from that opponent.
I think Ewers avoided for the most part this kind of pattern of slow starts against lesser opponents, and that's there are players like that. There are quarterbacks like that that need a series or two to get in a rhythm. And Ewers, up to this point, with a few exceptions, has been one of those guys.
Yeah.
And last Saturday against Colorado State, I don't think he really fought with that. So maybe that's a sign of maturity. Maybe that's a sign of him taking a step up. It also could just be that they were playing a really overmatched opponent, and that's how things go. I think what Texas did in the offseason to replace their receivers who were lost to the draft and transfer portal via the transfer portal was really impressive. Isaiah Bond and Golden from U of H. I don't know how U of H feel in the team, because I think I turned on 4 different games over the weekend. They had a receiver from U of H who had transferred from University of Houston, because I guess running from Willie Fritz, or frankly, if I met a guy named Willie, I'd be running for him.
I would definitely run too.
There's only one Willie that I'd spend time in a room with.
Yeah. Or Slick Willie when he was president, I guess.
I don't know. I don't swing that way.
But no,
maybe groundskeeper.
Wow, I haven't thought about groundskeeper Willie. I mean, talk about your C Team Simpsons characters. Well done. Well done. Yeah, I'm pretty good at being tempered. I'm pretty good at recognizing that it was an inferior opponent, but it definitely just felt like they were ready to play. And we made the joke that when we did get Arch Manning into the game, he looked athletic, and we've never seen a Manning look athletic ever.
Yeah, that's I don't that it's got to be from his mom's side. Although they do say Cooper was the most athletic of the 3, but he had spina bifida or whatever issue he had that kept him from playing past high school. I'm making up spina bifida.
That's what we do here on the show. If we can't find the answer, I don't know. Let's make it up. Googling's hard.
But I'm just going to assume, based on his uncles, that any athletic skill and ability to run comes from his mother.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there was he had a couple of really good plays where he cut in, was about to get sacked, and threw across his body, and then he had one where looked like he was going to scramble, was able to hold up, stop himself, and then throw for a first down. So it was definitely, all in all, a really good effort, I thought. Now, I do want to talk about next week, obviously, or this week, but I had a question for you. I want to jump to our first conversation about Texas A&M. A student of mine told me the resale market was going in upwards of almost 10 grand a ticket.
Yep.
Is that so? Why would anyone go? Why would you just sell your tickets?
The owner of the company I work for graduated from Texas, and his right-hand guy is an A&M grad. And so looking for tickets for the 30th, and they found somebody who's willing to sell them for $7,200.
Wow.
These aren't sweet tickets. These aren't all-you-can-eat tickets. These aren't Diamond Club tickets. These are just tickets.
The 300s, like.
I think they're probably on the first, or really close to the field on the second level, which are pretty good seats. Don't get me wrong, but it's still, you're sitting in a concrete football stadium. Maybe that chair probably has a plastic back at this point.
One of my students,
you're talking nearly $15,000 for 3 hours of entertainment.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, one of my students has 4 season tickets, and I'm like, dude, that's buying you a new car. Sell the tickets. Yes. Don't bother going. Okay, that's our first talk of Texas A&M. All right, you guys have McNeese State this week. What do you look for coming off of really heartbreaking close loss? Now, what do you look for trying to make sure that you can get the season going the right direction?
I think, first of all, the defense has to play 4 quarters of football, because the defense at this point is what's going to keep us in any game that we're in. The personnel certainly looks like we have the scheme. The defense played well until they ran out of gas. I'd like to see more pressure on the quarterback, but I think you're certainly going to get that on the McNeese States compared to a Notre Dame. The big deal for us is, what is Connor Wegman? Because up until last Saturday, everybody just assumed that Connor Wegman's issues were all based on poor offensive play design and poor offensive line play, and offensive line played well. Play design is what it is, and he just kind of spit the bits. And he'll be in his. One of the things I like about Elko is he lets his players actually talk to the press without being very cold and calculated. Jimbo was very controlling in that nature. And Wegman said
That was Tom Herman's thing too. Tom Herman never let anybody talk to the press, mostly because that meant a microphone not on him, and that's bad for him.
He would need some time off to go powder his nose,
or or commit another extramarital affair. But whatever.
I think one goes hand in hand with the other.
It does, probably. Doesn't it?
No, I think the Wegman, in his press time, basically said it was on him. He doesn't plan on ever playing that poorly again. And there were rumors going around that he was sick. He's denying that, although he did throw up on the field, and you could say he got hit. I mean, there were all kinds of.
So you can confirm he did actually throw up on the field?
Yeah, there's video of it.
Sorry, I didn't go rush and look at that before our show.
You should not. It was Vern Orange that helped him.
All right, I like it. Yeah, let's do that.
No, he claims, or one story is he got hit really hard in the stomach the play before and just had that reflex. The other side of the story is he was playing with a 100-degree fever and trying to have a Michael Jordan moment. I really hope that one's not true, because that's a lot of organizational issue that should have never got to that point. Having said that, he's got to play better. He knows he has to play better. He has never looked that bad against anybody. In limited starts, he's been hurt a lot his first 2 years, but he's just got to get better, and that's what's going to make a difference. Yes, playing Mcneese State instead of Notre Dame is going to make a difference too. There's no pick 'em here. We should win the game. We should win the game handily and have our backups in by the third quarter. Having said that, I'm going to be really concerned if we don't, unless there's some really good reason for it, like we just need the work in the offense or something like that. But even then, Wegman doesn't need to be playing all 4 quarters unless something has gone dramatically wrong with the first 3 quarters. But I expect this to be fairly easy. It'll mostly be done by the time I see you at Minute Maid Park on Saturday. It's 11 o'clock start.
Yeah, we've got an 11 o'clock start too. Before we get to our game, though, just what are you looking for score-wise? I mean, is there a score where, okay, 45-10 or whatever it is, you're happy, or like you think Wegman starting the fourth quarter is probably a bad sign?
Yeah, I do. I'd be happy 45 plus.
Okay.
Because that's 6 scoring drives, 6.5 scoring drives. I'm okay with that. It's not a good opponent that we're playing. It is why you play these buy-in games, so you can get reps and get work. But everything needs to start clicking. I mean, you have a couple of things. A, they're not a good opponent. B, it is week 2, and teams generally make pretty dramatic improvement in execution week 2 compared to week 1. I would have liked this season a whole lot more if these first 2 games had been flip-flopped and we got Mcneese first to work out some kinks before we face Notre Dame. But it is what it is. Just like I'm sure you're glad that you got to play Colorado State before you had to go to Michigan versus the alternative.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say because it's frustrating, and I know there's people who are going to laugh at this. There is everything in place at Texas A&M to win and win consistently and win big in football. And year after year after year after year, we just don't do it. And it's really starting to get kind of mystifying. It's, at some point, the odds are we are going to have a breakthrough season.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell you when that's going to be right now. And so there's a lot of guessing going on right now. And had we won, we'd all be a lot happier. We didn't win, so it's pretty sullen over here. People are trying to find the bright spots. It is also a new coaching regime with new schemes and new everything else and new players, and they've all got to get used to each other. But that's college football now. I don't know how many more years that gets to be an excuse for a program the size and scope of Texas A&M. If you're going to change your head coach, you still have to win that first year. You don't get the first year off anymore. In the age of the portal, in the age of unlimited transfers, in the age of all the money that's flying around,
Yeah.
the expectations just get higher. And if you're not willing to be that team and compete at that level, you might as well drop down to the Big 12.
First of all, you've been waiting all show to say that, just like that.
Yeah.
You really have
Well,
been.
it used to
Hey,
be.
you know what? I applaud you.
It used to be the Mountain West or something like that, but now it's the Big 12.
No, it's the Big 12. Hey, you know what? That's what happens when you become a
I
usually
do
sometimes you
think.
can talk about addition by subtraction. It was just
Hey,
subtraction
I
by
think A and
subtraction.
M could go to the Pac-10 right now and win it.
They could. They could. Yeah, we haven't even done our Pac-10 check-in. We might not have time this week. We'll look at it. We'll look at it next week. I think we both got duds on the schedule. Texas is going to Ann Arbor to play the defending national champions. And I got to be honest with you. After watching the documentary on the Michigan sign stealing, I find it abhorrent that a team was allowed to steal signs and didn't have their championships taken away. They didn't get their coaches, kicked in the crotch in the middle of the. What are we doing here? What are we supposed to tell the children when teams can steal signs and nothing happens? I've got an
Well,
Astros fan watching the show right now. I think he gets that was sarcasm. If everybody understand that, I've got a bit of a live audience. That was sarcasm. Okay. Yeah.
My 5-year-old came up to me and said, "But why? Why is Jim Harbaugh being punished?" And I had to explain to him that he was a big cheater, and he cried.
And now your son's a serial killer because the world is different.
Well, he's an electrical engineer at the University of Texas, so same
difference. Hey, but really, Texas, look, it's a depleted Michigan team. I actually think Texas should have a double-digit win against Michigan. I'm not terribly concerned. They lost their coaching staff. They lost a lot of the players. But as an outsider of that fan base, what do you want to see from the game, or what do you expect to see?
I think it's a little bit closer. I think the first road test is always interesting for a team, even a team in this era of college football, because you've got the advantage of having a 3-year starter quarterback, but your defense is new. There's a lot of new parts to that defense, and they haven't played a true road game yet together. So that'll be interesting. The Big House has a reputation of being a tough place to play. I think Michigan offensively is going to struggle against y'all, but I think their defense is better than certainly what you faced last week, but most of what you're going to face this year, frankly. And so, having said that, I do think Texas wins, but I think it's a little bit closer. It's probably a 7 to 10 point type of win. I know you said double digits, but parsing here. But because I think I think their defense keeps them in the game, keeps it closer than you'll probably be comfortable with. But I don't think that's necessarily a reflection of anything other than this current iteration of Sark's team playing together for the first time on the road. Having said that, you scheduled a good team. You scheduled the defending national champions. You didn't know that at the time, frankly. But you're going on the road to a hard place to play, and with a team that have good players. Their coach isn't Jim Harbaugh, but he's not bad. So it'll be an interest. It should be a fun football game to watch if you have no rooting interest one way or the other. But I think Texas wins, but I think it's probably a 7 to 10 point win.
Well, and those of you who are, have maybe noticed that we're changing the clip from the A&M and Longhorn clip before every episode. And I've put the clip this week where Vince throws one to Lima Swede to win the second game of the season in Ohio State in 2005, which set Texas on the path for national championship. It's another Big Ten opponent, second game of the season. I look for something similar.
I was curious as to why you didn't pick the actual Rose Bowl where you beat Michigan.
No, I mean, look, because I like to go deeper, man. I mean, that's easy.
Okay.
That's easy.
Okay.
That's easy. Plus,
I'm just sending you clips now from Louisiana Tech. I don't care.
You don't even care. Yeah. But I guess as we wrap it up, though, what were some of your big takeaways from week? We're going to call it week 1. The other one was week 0. It didn't really count. Florida State 0-2. Anything else standing out for you like that?
Well, I mean, Florida State's hot garbage, which is great. Florida's hot garbage too, which bodes well for both of us since we both have to go to Florida to play.
Anybody going to Florida should get inoculated for all kinds of things, first of all.
Agreed, but except for Disney, because it's the happiest place.
Yeah. There you go. And the Keys look nice. I've seen the movie. What was the movie Running Scared with Billy Crystal and
Yep.
Gregory Hines? There's your deep dive for the day, by the way. That is a 44-year-old movie. A
Well,
40-year-old movie.
I think even people from Florida would tell you that there's a line where Florida is the South from Georgia down to that line, and then below that it's Miami. And so Miami falls into that Keys part, just cheaper and funkier. It's not reflective of the whole of Florida.
No, it's not Tallahassee.
It's not fanboat culture.
Yeah, fanboat culture. That needs to be. We need to do a podcast called Fanboat Culture.
I'm talking about.
And we'll just highlight different rednecks all over.
But it's a little oasis of consumerism and commercialism and happy mouses and lightsabers. Yeah, the state of Florida's got some issues. Miami looks good, but Florida, I feel a lot better about going there next week. You guys should feel great about having to play them towards the end of the season because they will be in complete disarray at that point. I think that's been kind of the biggest takeaway for me. The usual suspects look good. Georgia looks better than I was expecting them to. They dismantled Clemson on week 1, which Clemson was talking a lot, and now the narrative has changed to Dabo really doesn't like to use the portal. And
he just uses Jesus to find his players.
Yeah,
that's a true story.
He might be looking for new employment soon if he doesn't learn to embrace the portal.
He might need to use a head like monster.com or whatever it is, those headhunter websites. That's what he's
Well, I tell you, he's certainly got Mac Brown runaway, but it's going to take, an 8-win season for them to start rumbling really hard.
Will he undercut Clemson and hiring a program-changing coach, though, on his way out? Because that's how you know you're Mac Brown.
Well, sure. Well, the first step would be you coach in waiting that you didn't really want. That'll be the first kind of, hey, Coach Boom is over there. Whenever you're ready to go, you just let
I
us
forgot
know.
all about that somehow.
On the side, that's going to work out perfectly because he's not ambitious. It's fine. And you're really secure, Coach Brown. So it's all. Yeah, I think that's been the big takeaway for me so far is that the state of Florida's got some issues bigger than what they were expecting. Closer to home, Tech barely beat Abilene Christian at home, which I mean, Tech is one of the teams that should be in contention for the Big 12 title every year, and they're not going to be. I did find it interesting because A&M hosted game day. I did watch most of the 3 hours of game day, which I rarely do. The only, and granted, I was doing some other stuff, but the only team I saw them mention from the Big 12 that entire 3 hours was when they picked the Oklahoma State game.
Wow, good. That's funny.
But there was no talk of U of H or Baylor or Kansas State. I mean, it was just like that league didn't exist. There was even a mention of the Beavers and the Cougars up in Pac-12 country, Pac-10 country, whatever that Pac-2 country.
Pac-2 country, yeah.
There was an ACC highlight. I mean, but they just didn't talk about the Big 12 at all. And maybe they're going to rectify that this week, or maybe it's just become the Mountain West.
My only question is, I didn't get to watch it. Did Pat McAfee have a shirt on? Because that's really what I care about.
And then, so that's a couple of great points about game day. A, it is painful watching the Nick Saban animatronic pretend to have human emotions. The AI doesn't. I mean, it's almost JD Vance level of I should smile now.
I would drink beer with you because I do like to drink beer. That's not the question there, JD, but okay. But thank you.
Outside of anger and annoyance, I've never seen Nick Saban emote. So whatever it was he was doing was really, really weird. But at the end, JD Vance stayed clothed, or excuse me, not JD Vance, Pat McAfee stayed clothed. Same. He stayed clothed up until the very end, took off his shirt, and proceeded to rub himself all over Nick Saban.
Oh.
And you need to watch the clip because Nick Saban had to speak because they put the camera on him. And he's like, "This is fun. I'm having fun." And you could tell he's not having fun. And I would guarantee you, McAfee probably got punched when the camera went off.
College Game Day, making date rape legal since 2004.
It will likely be the last time I look at Game Day at all this year. Because I'll switch back to SEC Nation. which is, again, a far superior show to watch if you care about the SEC.
I will definitely be watching that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an interesting season so far. It'll be really fun to watch how some of these things play out. Oklahoma's talking noise again. That's another thing that I talked. They're going to win a national championship somehow.
Yeah, let's not get on Oklahoma. We've already dealt with Florida. All right, that does wrap up Lone Star Yell Fight. Andy, we'll have both of our games finished when we do roll up to Minute Maid Park on Saturday to watch the Astros beat the Arizona Diamondbacks. Until then, hook 'em horns, Andy.
Hit 'em Aggies.